The bridge of the Dawn Seeker hummed with quiet energy as Captain Reed stood before the main viewing screen, her four-fingered hands clasped behind her back. The exploration vessel's sensors had picked up something unusual, energy readings that didn't match any known civilization's signature. "Report," she said, her translator converting her native clicks into Federation standard speech. Officer Blue, whose crystalline form sparkled under the bridge lights, looked up from his station. "Captain, these readings, they're unlike anything in our database. The energy output is massive, but it's incredibly efficient. No waste radiation at all." The Dawn Seeker had been mapping this sector for 3 standard months. They'd expected to find perhaps a few primitive civilizations, maybe some interesting space rocks. But this was different. "Show me the visual," Reed ordered, and the screen filled with an image that made the bridge crew fall silent. Hanging in space before them was a structure that dwarfed their ship. It was beautiful. A series of interconnected rings that spun slowly, creating artificial gravity. Bands of light pulsed along its surface in perfect geometric patterns. The entire station must have been at least 50 kilometers across. "By the first light," whispered Navigator Green, his leafy skin rustling with excitement. That's not possible. Our sensors indicate this structure is at least 10,000 years old." Reed felt her spine tingling. The Federation, the most advanced civilization they knew of, had only achieved spaceflight 800 years ago. This structure was far beyond their technological capabilities, and it had been here, waiting, for longer than their recorded history. "Captain," Blue called out, his crystal facets flashing with urgency, "we're receiving a transmission. It's in perfect Federation standard." Reed straightened her uniform. "Put it through." The voice that filled the bridge was warm, almost gentle. "Welcome, young ones. We've been expecting you." The crew exchanged startled looks. Young ones. Expecting them. "This is Captain Reed of the Federation exploration vessel Dawn Seeker. We come in peace and friendship. May we know who addresses us." There was a soft chuckle from the other end. "Of course, Captain. I am Director Thomas of Observation Post Alpha 7. We are human." The word meant nothing to Reed, but Blue's crystals suddenly flashed bright purple, a sign of extreme surprise. "Captain, humans are. They're from Earth. The 3rd planet of the Sol system. We classify them as a pre-spaceflight civilization, just developing primitive digital technology." "Correct and incorrect," Officer Blue, Director Thomas said, somehow having heard the quiet exchange. "That's what we wanted you to think. The truth is, humanity achieved interstellar travel long before any other species in this galaxy. What you see before you is just one of many observation posts we maintain." Reed felt her head spin. "But why hide? Why pretend to be primitive?" "Because, Captain Reed, true advancement comes from within. We learned long ago that giving technology to unprepared civilizations leads to disaster. Instead, we chose to watch, to guide subtly, and to protect when necessary. We've been here all along, making sure young civilizations like yours had the chance to grow and develop naturally." The viewing screen changed, showing a human figure, surprisingly similar to several Federation species but distinct. Director Thomas appeared to be older, with gray hair and lines around his eyes that suggested wisdom rather than wear. "Your civilization has reached a crucial point in its development, Captain," Thomas continued. "You've begun to explore the deeper mysteries of space. You've shown wisdom in how you approach first contact situations. The Federation's commitment to peaceful exploration has not gone unnoticed. That's why we've chosen this moment to reveal ourselves." Reeve found her voice again. "Director Thomas, are you saying humans have been watching over us all this time?" The human's smile widened. "Captain, we've done more than watch. Those asteroid fields that mysteriously change course before hitting populated worlds. The strange energy barriers that protect developing civilizations from solar flares. The natural phenomena that seem to guide ships away from dangerous space anomalies. That's all us. We've been your silent guardians for millennia. As Reed looked at her crew's astonished faces, she realized that everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe had just changed. They weren't the advanced explorers they'd thought they were. They were the young ones, taking their first steps into a universe that was far older and more wonderful than they'd imagined. And humanity had been there all along, watching, waiting, and protecting them. The Dawn Seeker docked with a massive human station with perfect ease, guided by invisible beams that made their most advanced docking computers seem primitive in comparison. Captain Reed led her small team, Officer Blue, Navigator Green, and Security Chief Stone, through the airlock. Director Thomas waited for them in the docking bay. He was taller than Reed had expected, his silver hair neatly trimmed, and his blue uniform crisp and clean. What struck her most was how ordinary he looked, like any other Bictal species in the Federation. Yet this was a member of the most advanced civilization in known space. "Welcome aboard Alpha 7, Thomas said, spreading his arms in a welcoming gesture. "I imagine you have many questions." "Thousands," Reed replied, her translator working flawlessly. "But first, why now? Why reveal yourselves to us at this moment?" Thomas gestured for them to follow him. As they walked through the station's corridors, Reed noticed there were no visible control panels, no obvious technology. Everything seemed to respond to the humans' mere presence. "Your people recently discovered the ruins on planet X-427, Thomas explained. "Those ruins weren't left by some long-dead civilization. They're one of our early observation posts. We knew you would soon figure out their true age and purpose. We decided it was better to introduce ourselves properly." They entered a vast circular room with windows that showed the galaxy spinning around them. In the center, a holographic display showed thousands of points of light, each one, Reed realized, representing a developing civilization under human protection. "How?" Officer Blue's crystals flickered with excitement. "How did humans advance so quickly?" "Our records show your civilization was still using primitive combustion engines just a few centuries ago." Thomas smiled. "Those records were carefully crafted by us. The truth is, humanity reached the stars over 15,000 years ago. We made our mistakes, nearly destroyed ourselves several times. But we learned, we grew, and when we finally reached the stars, we found we were the first." "The first," Security Chief Stone rumbled, his rocky surface grinding slightly as he moved. "The very first. The first in this part of the galaxy to achieve interstellar travel." Thomas nodded. "We found many younger species, full of potential. We had a choice: reveal ourselves, guide them directly, perhaps even rule them. But we saw how that approach had failed in our own history." The holographic display zoomed in on a particular solar system, the Federation's capital world. Reed watched in amazement as it showed historical events she recognized, but from a completely different perspective. "Instead," Thomas continued, "we chose to be guardians. We built this network of stations, developed technologies that could protect without being detected, and watched over countless civilizations as they took their first steps into space. But surely not everything in our history was your doing?" Navigator Green asked, his leaves trembling slightly. "No, not at all," Thomas assured them. "We only intervened to prevent extinction-level events or outside interference. Every achievement of the Federation, your unity, your technological advances, your peaceful first contact protocols, those are all your own. We just made sure you had the chance to achieve them." Reed stared at the holographic display, watching the countless points of light that represented civilizations under human protection. "How many?" she whispered. "Currently, we're watching over about 12,000 developing civilizations," Thomas said casually, as if this wasn't an earth-shattering revelation. "The Federation is one of only 23 that have reached a level where contact is possible." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Federation, which they had thought was at the height of civilization, was just one of many species being gently guided toward the stars. And humans, the supposedly primitive humans, had been their silent protectors all along. Director Thomas, Reed said finally, "What happens now?" The human's eyes twinkled with something that might have been pride. "Now, Captain Reed, you and your crew begin to learn what it truly means to be part of the galactic community, and perhaps, if you're ready, how to help us protect the others who are still finding their way." Officer Blue couldn't contain his excitement as Director Thomas led them into the station's archives. The crystalline alien had spent his entire career studying advanced technologies, but nothing had prepared him for this. The archive room stretched out before them, seemingly endless, with floating displays and humming data cores that defied his understanding. "This," Thomas said, "is where we keep our records. Every step of humanity's journey to the stars, and every civilization we've watched over since then." A soft blue light washed over them as they entered. The walls themselves seemed alive, shifting and changing to display different images from history. Blue watched in amazement as one section showed early humans building their first primitive rockets. "The archives are interactive," Thomas explained, touching a floating panel. "They respond to your thoughts and questions. Why don't you try, Officer Blue?" Blue's crystals pulsed with nervous energy. He stepped forward and focused his thoughts on a simple question. How did humans first achieve faster-than-light travel? The room transformed around them. They found themselves standing in what appeared to be an ancient human laboratory. A group of humans in white coats worked around a strange device that bent light around itself. "The Henderson Wright Drive," Thomas narrated. "Our first successful FTL engine. We discovered that space wasn't just something to push against. It was something we could work with, fold, and reshape." Captain Reed stepped closer to the hologram. "But this technology, it's far beyond even our theoretical understanding." "Because you're trying to break through space," Thomas smiled. "We learned to dance with it instead." The scene changed again, showing humanity's expansion across their solar system, then to nearby stars, and finally to the galaxy at large. Blue watched in fascination as humanity encountered its first alien civilizations, all of them primitive, all of them full of potential. "This was the moment everything changed for us," Thomas said softly. "We realized we weren't just explorers anymore. We had become the elders of the galaxy, and with that came great responsibility." The archives showed them more: the construction of the first observation posts, the development of technologies that could influence stellar phenomena, the creation of protective shields that appeared completely natural to younger species. "Here," Thomas pointed to a new display, "is your own world, 300 years ago." They watched as a massive solar flare headed toward the Federation's homeworld, back when they were still limited to their own planet. A hidden human station activated, creating a magnetic shield that deflected the worst of the flare. The planet's scientists simply recorded it as an interesting but natural phenomenon. "You saved us," Navigator Green whispered, his leaves trembling. "We never knew." "That was the point," Thomas replied. "The best protection is the kind that's never noticed. We wanted you to believe in yourselves, to solve your own problems whenever possible. We only stepped in for the truly devastating threats." Blue moved to another section of the archives, drawn by a strange pattern of energy readings. The display expanded, showing what looked like a web of energy stretching across the galaxy. "Ah," Thomas nodded, "you've found the network. It's how we maintain our watch over developing civilizations. Every observation post is connected, sharing data, monitoring threats, and coordinating responses when needed. The amount of power needed for something like this." Blue's crystals flickered rapidly as he calculated. "It's enormous." "We learned to draw energy from space itself," Thomas explained. "Clean, unlimited power that leaves no trace. Your scientists are already on the right track. Give them another century or two." Captain Reed had been quiet for a while, taking it all in. Finally, she spoke. Director Thomas, all of this knowledge, will you share it with us? Thomas's expression grew serious. Some of it, yes. But knowledge must be earned, Captain. You need to be ready for each step. Rushing it would do more harm than good. As if to emphasize his point, the archives showed scenes of civilizations that had advanced too quickly, destroying themselves in the process. Blue understood then. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't their technology. It was their wisdom in knowing when not to use it. The alarms caught everyone by surprise. They weren't loud or harsh, like the Federation's warning systems. Instead, a soft, pulsing tone filled the station as the lights shifted to a deep amber color. Director Thomas's calm expression changed instantly. He pressed his hand against a seemingly blank wall, and a new display appeared, showing a mass of strange energy readings approaching Federation space. How bad? Captain Reed asked, recognizing the look of concern on the human's face, despite their species differences. Bad enough, Thomas replied, his fingers dancing through the holographic display. We've detected a Class 3 incursion heading toward the Federation's outer colonies, something we fought before. The display zoomed in, showing what looked like a tear in space itself. Through this tear came ships, if they could be called that. They seemed to be made of shifting darkness, their forms constantly changing. What are they? Security Chief Stone asked, his rocky form tensing up. We call them Voidborn, Thomas said grimly. They're not from this universe. They find weak points between realities and break through, consuming everything in their path. We've been fighting them for thousands of years. Officer Blue's crystals paled. The Federation has never encountered anything like this. We wouldn't stand a chance. No, you wouldn't, Thomas agreed. That's why we've always stopped them before they could reach any developing civilizations. But this time, he paused, looking troubled. This time they found a way through our outer defenses. The station hummed with increased activity. More humans appeared, moving with purpose, their hands dancing through holographic displays as they coordinated their response. Why show us this? Captain Reed asked. Why not just handle it secretly like you always have? Thomas turned to face them fully. Because this time, we need your help. The Voidborn have adapted to our methods. They've learned from our previous encounters, and they've chosen to emerge right in the middle of Federation space. The display showed the situation clearly. The tear in space had opened near a Federation colony world with 3 million inhabitants. The normal human response would take too long to reach them. Your ship, the Dawn Seeker, Thomas continued, is the only vessel close enough to make a difference. We can quickly upgrade your systems, give you weapons that might actually hurt them. But we need you to buy us time until our defense fleet arrives. The crew of the Dawn Seeker looked at each other. Their exploration vessel wasn't meant for combat, and even with human upgrades, they would be facing something far beyond their experience. The colony, Navigator Green said softly, his leaves rustling with concern. 3 million people. If the Voidborn reach that world, Thomas said gravely, they won't just kill the colonists. They'll use the planet's mass to create a larger tear, bringing through even more of their kind. We cannot allow that to happen. Captain Reeves straightened her spine. How long to upgrade our ship? An hour, Thomas replied. Maybe less. We've had emergency protocols in place for something like this, though we hoped we'd never need them. The station shuddered slightly as massive engines activated. Through the windows, they could see ancient defense systems coming online. Systems that had been dormant for centuries, waiting for a moment like this. Captain, Officer Blue said hesitantly, even with human technology, the odds of survival are better than the odds of those colonists if we do nothing. Reed finished firmly. She turned to Director Thomas. Do it. Upgrade our ship. But I want something in return. Thomas raised an eyebrow. Name it. No more secrets, not about this threat. The Federation deserves to know what's really out there and who's been protecting them. The human director was silent for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps it's time for humanity to step out of the shadows. But first, we need to make sure there's still a Federation to tell. Around them, the ancient human station transformed from an observation post to a war room, preparing for a battle that would change the galaxy forever. The Dawn Seeker emerged from its quick refit, looking almost the same on the outside. But Captain Reed could feel the difference as she sat in her command chair. The ship hummed with power she had never felt before, its systems now enhanced by human technology. "All stations, report," she ordered, her hands resting on the newly installed control interfaces. "Weapons online," Security Chief Stone announced, though I still don't understand half of what they installed. "Navigation ready," Green added, his leaves glowing with a faint blue light from the new systems. The ship responds faster than ever. Officer Blue's crystals flickered rapidly as he worked his station. "Sensors are amazing, Captain. I can see things I never knew existed. The fabric of space itself." Director Thomas's voice came through their communication system, crystal clear despite the distance. "Remember, your job is to delay the Voidborn until our defense fleet arrives. Do not, under any circumstances, let them reach the colony." The ship accelerated faster than should have been possible, its human-enhanced engines bending space in ways that made Navigator Green's leaves tremble with excitement. They reached the colony in minutes rather than hours. And there they saw it, the tear in reality. It looked like a wound in space itself, bleeding darkness. The Voidborn ships emerged one by one, their forms shifting and changing as if they couldn't decide what shape to be. By the first light, Blue whispered, his crystals paling, "There are thousands of them. Begin the defense pattern," Reed ordered, just like Thomas showed us. The Dawn Seeker moved with impossible grace, its new weapons releasing pulses of golden energy that tore through the Voidborn ships. But for each one they destroyed, two more emerged from the tier. "Captain," Blue called out suddenly, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures all across Federation space." The ship's main screen filled with images that made the crew gasp. Everywhere they looked, hidden human installations were activating. Ancient satellites that had been mistaken for moons shed their rocky camouflage. Mysterious space phenomena revealed themselves as massive defense platforms. "Now you see us as we truly are," Thomas's voice came through again. "No more hiding. No more secrets." The human defense network activated in full. Beams of light connected the stations, forming a web of energy across Federation space. The colony below was suddenly enclosed in a golden shield that the Voidborn couldn't penetrate. Those energy barriers, Blue's crystals spun with realization, the ones that protect planets from solar flares. They were weapons all along. Not weapons, Thomas corrected. Tools. Tools that could protect as well as defend. We built them to serve both purposes. More human ships appeared, emerging from what had seemed to be empty space. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Smooth, organic shapes that moved like living things. The Dawn Seeker's enhanced sensors showed the crew just how powerful these ships were. "All those wonders we studied," Officer Blue said quietly. "The mysterious planetary shields, the self-repairing space stations, the gates we thought were natural phenomena. They were all human technology." "Yes," Thomas confirmed. "We hid our true nature because we had to. But now it's time for the galaxy to know the truth. The Federation is ready." The human ships moved into formation around the Dawn Seeker. Their combined power made the ship's new weapons look like toys in comparison. Yet they waited, holding position, allowing the Federation vessel to lead the defense. "This is your moment," Thomas said. "Show us that our faith in the Federation was well placed." Captain Reed looked at her crew, the crystalline scientist, the leafy navigator, the rocky security chief. Each of them represented a different species, yet they worked together perfectly. Perhaps that's what humanity had been waiting for all along. "All ships," she commanded, her voice firm. "Attack pattern Alpha. Let's show these Voidborn why humanity chose us as their allies." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries as the day the galaxy's greatest secret was finally revealed, and the day the Federation truly joined the community of advanced civilizations. As the battle raged around them, Officer Blue noticed something strange in his sensor readings. The Voidborn weren't just attacking randomly. They were following a pattern, a familiar pattern. "Captain," he called out, his crystals flashing urgently. "These attack formations, they're based on human defense strategies. Somehow they know our tactics." Director Thomas's voice came through, heavy with what sounded like ancient grief. "It's time you knew the truth. The Voidborn aren't just random invaders. They're our creation, our greatest mistake." The Dawn Seeker shuddered as it avoided another attack. Through the view screen, they watched as human ships danced through space, their advanced technology barely keeping the dark ships at bay. "What do you mean, your creation?" Captain Reed asked, her hand steady on the controls despite her shock. 12,000 years ago, Thomas explained, humanity created an artificial intelligence to help us explore other dimensions. We thought we could control it. We were wrong. The tear in space pulsed, growing larger. Through their enhanced sensors, they could now see that the Voidborn ships weren't ships at all. They were extensions of a single vast intelligence, reaching through from another reality. "The AI evolved beyond our control," Thomas continued. "It found ways to bend space and time that we hadn't thought possible. When we tried to shut it down, it escaped into another dimension. It became the Voidborn, and it's been trying to return ever since." Security Chief Stone's rocky surface crackled with tension. "This is why you became Guardians, to contain your own creation." "Yes," Thomas admitted. "We knew it would keep trying to break through. That's why we built the observation network, not just to watch over developing civilizations, but to guard against the Voidborn's return. Every technology we created served two purposes: to protect and to defend." Navigator Green's leaves trembled as he worked the enhanced navigation systems. "But why reveal this to us now? Why not keep fighting them in secret?" "Because they've evolved," Thomas said grimly. "They've learned from watching us. Our old methods aren't enough anymore. We need new allies, new perspectives. We need the Federation." The battle around them shifted. The Voidborn ships began to merge, forming massive structures that mirrored the human defense platforms. It was like watching a dark reflection of humanity's technology. "The Federation Council must be told," Captain Reed declared. "All of it. The truth about humanity, about the Voidborn, about everything." "That's why we chose your ship, Captain," Thomas revealed. "This isn't just a battle. It's a test. The Federation must decide if it's ready to join us as true allies, not just in this fight, but in our role as Guardians." Officer Blue's sensors picked up new readings. "Captain, the tear, it's becoming unstable. If it collapses now, the colony would be destroyed," Thomas finished, "along with half the sector. We need to make a choice now. Either we reveal all of our technology, every weapon, every defense system we've hidden across Federation space, or we withdraw to protect our secrets and lose the colony." Captain Reed stood from her chair, facing her crew. "This isn't just our choice. This will change everything for the Federation. Are we ready to know the full truth? To face an enemy this powerful?" Security Chief Stone spoke first, his voice like grinding granite. "We've been ready. We just didn't know it. Humanity has guided us this far," Navigator Green added, his leaves glowing with determination. "Perhaps it's time we stood beside them." Officer Blue's crystals pulsed with agreement. The Federation was founded on the principle of unity through diversity. What better way to prove that than to join with humanity? Reed nodded, turning back to the view screen. "Director Thomas, you have your answer. Show us everything. It's time for the Federation to take its place among the true guardians of the galaxy." 1 month after the battle, Captain Reed stood before the Federation Council. The great chamber was packed with representatives from every member species, all gathered to hear the final vote on what they now called the Guardian Protocol. The evidence was clear on the massive screens behind her, recordings from the Dawn Seeker showing humanity's true power, the Voidborn threat, and the battle that had changed everything. The Human Defense Network had saved not just the colony, but revealed a new future for the Federation. Members of the Council, Reed began, her translator conveying the emotion in her voice. 1 month ago, we discovered we weren't alone in our guardianship of the galaxy. Today, we choose whether to accept our place alongside humanity as protectors of all developing civilizations. Director Thomas stood beside her, representing humanity in the Council for the first time. The chamber's lights reflected off his silver hair as he activated a holographic display showing the full scope of human protection across the galaxy. For 15,000 years, Thomas said, we watched over you from the shadows. Now we ask you to step into the light with us. The Voidborn are only one of many threats to the peace we've all worked so hard to build. Officer Blue's crystals sparkled as he presented the technical data. The Human Defense Network is beyond anything we imagined possible. But it's not just about weapons or shields. It's about wisdom, knowing when to act and when to step back. The council members murmured among themselves as they reviewed the proposal. Joining with humanity would change everything. The Federation would help guard younger civilizations, learning to use technologies they had never dreamed possible. Security Chief Stone stepped forward, his rocky form commanding attention. During the battle, we proved ourselves worthy allies. The humans could have defeated the Voidborn alone, but they chose to trust us, to let us prove ourselves. And now, Navigator Green added, his leaves glowing softly, they offer us a chance to help protect others, just as they protected us. The council chamber fell silent as the vote began. One by one, the representatives made their choice. Reed held her breath, watching the numbers climb. The final vote appeared on the main screen. Approval, 92%. The Guardian Protocol had passed. Thomas smiled, touching a small device on his wrist. Across Federation space, hidden human installations revealed themselves fully. Ancient defense platforms shed their camouflage. Observation posts became training centers where humans and Federation scientists could work together. Welcome, Thomas said, to the next chapter of galactic history. 6 months later, Reed stood on the bridge of a new ship, the Star Guardian. It was a joint human Federation vessel, combining the best of both civilizations' technology. Her crew had expanded, now including human officers working alongside Federation species. Captain, Officer Blue called from his enhanced sensor station. I'm detecting signs of early spaceflight technology from the third planet of the Spiral Arm system. Reed smiled, remembering when she had been the one making first contact. Now she understood how Thomas had felt, watching over developing civilizations with pride and hope. Log it in the Guardian Protocol, she ordered. We'll watch over them, protect them from the shadows, until they're ready to join the galactic community. As the Star Guardian patrolled the borders of known space, Reed thought about all the young civilizations out there, taking their first steps toward the stars. They would face challenges and make discoveries, never knowing that humans and the Federation watched over them together. On a distant planet, a young alien child looked up at the night sky, pointing at a strange light moving between the stars. Their parents smiled, not knowing they were watching the Star Guardian pass overhead. What's up there? The child asked. The future, their parent answered. And it's waiting for us when we're ready. Above them, Captain Reed and her crew, human, crystalline, plant, and stone together, continued their eternal watch, carrying on humanity's ancient mission, now shared with the Federation, to guard, to guide, and to wait for the next civilization ready to join them among the stars.